Alright, so in this video we are going to learn about the pivot table. We are currently in the workbook pivot table and worksheet sheet 1. Now this is important for you to know. We use pivot table because it helps in summarizing the data, which gives a more clear view of data. So in this example we have got the name of the batsman in column B, the date in which they played in column A, runs they scored in column C, the team which they played for in column D, and the opponent team against which they scored in column E. Now let us suppose we want to construct a pivot table out of this data. So what we will do is we will just select a cell. Let's suppose we selected cell A1, and then we will head to insert, and then we will click on pivot table. Now Excel automatically selects the suitable range of data for your pivot table, and what we need is we'll need the pivot table in the new worksheet, and then we'll click on OK. Now this is the pivot table, and as you can see we have got different variables here, and in down we have got rows and values. Now let's drag this batsman in the rows, and we'll need the runs scored in values. Now as you can see in the table we have got the sum of runs scored of all the players. Now let us sort this, and let us see which player scored the most runs, and for that we'll just click on this cell B4, and then we'll head to data, and we'll click on this sort Z2A, and in this way our data is sorted on the basis of the players who scored most runs to the players who scored least runs. Now let us suppose we also want to see how many games the player played. So for that what we will do is we'll again drag this run scored to the values, and then we'll click on sum of run scored to, then we'll click on field value settings, and then we'll select count and OK. Now we have got the data of how many games a player played. Now suppose we also want the average score of each player. That will be the total runs scored by a player divided by the total games he scored. Now let us just rename these headers. Let us write here player name, and here we'll write total runs scored, and here we'll write games played. Let us just resize these. Now suppose we want the average, that will be runs scored divided by games played in column D. So what we'll do is we'll put on the formula equal, then we'll select the cell B4 which contains runs scored. Now, as you can see in the formula we have got the referencing of the cell B4. Now we'll put a slash for division, and then we'll reference the cell C4 and click enter. Now let us use autofill. Now as you can see we have messed up with the formula, because in pivot table formula referencing uses absolute cell reference, not relative cell reference. So what we'll do is we'll just remove these invalid data, then we'll give an equal sign, and we'll type the cell name rather than just referencing them. For example, here we'll type B4 divided by C4 and hit enter. Now let's use autofill, and as you can see we have got the average runs scored by each player. But in pivot table we don't need to use formula for calculating the average, so let us just delete it. And as you can see, the pivot table options that was here in the right corner of the screen has disappeared. To bring it back again, we will just need to click on any cell that is within the pivot table. So let us drag this runs scored once more into the values. And this time we'll change the value field settings to average. Now as you can see, we have also got data in decimal points. So what we'll do is we'll change the number format into numbers, and we'll use decimal places of 2, and then we'll click on OK. And as you can see, we have got data in the same format. Now let us say we want to see which player scored how many runs against a certain team. So we'll just click on any cell inside the pivot table to bring this column. Then we will drag these opponents into the filters. And as you can see, we have got a filter above here. And what we'll do is we'll click on select multiple items. Then we'll deselect all. Now suppose we want to see the performance of each player against the team surgeons. So what we'll do is we'll click on surgeons and we'll click on OK. Now this data shows the total runs scored, games played, and average runs scored of these players against the team surgeons. Now suppose we want to see the data of a specific team against the team surgeons. So what we'll do is we'll drag this team again into the filter options, and then in team we'll again click on select multiple items, and suppose we want to see the performance of the team leaders, then we'll click on OK. Now this is the score of the players of team leaders against the team surgeons. Now let us say we want the score of the team surgeons against the team leaders. So what we'll do is we'll again go to the filter, we'll deselect surgeons and we'll select leaders. Now as you can see, our data has disappeared because we also need to click surgeons in the team filter, and here we get the data of the scores of team surgeons against the team leaders. Now let us just remove both of these filters. So this is how we can use pivot table in sorting and summarizing the data that we need. Now that's it for this video session. In next video session we will be discussing about Excel charts.